Hello, all jazz enthusiasts, whether you're coming through the Louisville Jazz Society webpage or listening through 88.1 WNIS. Welcome and thanks for tuning in. And I have a special guest with me today, Kendall Carter, the leader of the Kendall Carter organ trio. Kendall, I know you have a busy schedule, so I just want to thank you for agreeing to do this and making it work.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on today.
So we're here today for your upcoming gig on December 17th at the cafe with your trio, brought to you by the Louisville Jazz Society Signature Concert Series. But before we get into that, I'd like to learn a little bit about you as a musician. And I was reading about you, and you started playing piano at age 4, which is very early. So, what gave you that head start and interest in music?
I can't really articulate that. I don't know. I mean, the keys were around probably earlier than that, but I think I started taking lessons around 4 or 5 years old.
Oh, wow.
But I think my family, mom and dad, kept something, some kind of keyboard or something kind of close by. And so it just fostered from there.
That's awesome. And then in your early teens, you got drawn to the organ. Was there anything involving that, or was that just another instrument that was lying around that you picked up on?
Um, in hindsight, let's just say this all of this stems from church. So I formally got into organ playing because of the church that I was attending at the time.
Okay.
The pastor wanted me to play organ instead, so he had me go and take classical organ lessons. So I was actually studying to play on pipe organ for a couple of years, and then but knowing in my context we'd actually be playing a Hammond organ, but the fundamentals still transfer no matter what kind of organ you're playing. But yeah, I mean, and I can remember as early as, man, the late 90s,
Hmm.
at this same church they always had, uh I feel like, if I remember correctly, we had two organs in that church. And so my first kind of contact with it was they always had one organ still sitting in the back, kind of covered up in one of the rooms. And I would always go by and kind of look at it, see what it was and things like that, but didn't really just get into it again until middle school or so. I think it was about seventh or eighth grade. Um, and then after those lessons, kind of picked it up from there,
Hmm.
kept on with it.
That's awesome. And I'm glad you brought up the musical affiliation with your church because I noticed that the first ever single you released was actually an affiliation with the church. And so, how much of an influence has gospel music and just that church involvement had on your musical career?
Oh man, church is 1,000% part of my DNA, physical DNA, especially. Like I said, I've grown up playing in church. I've been playing in church for what feels like now some 20 plus years. Uh, and I mean, I'm only early 30s. So, but yeah, it's a part of the fabric, man. Growing up in it, being around it, gospel music, all of it, Southern, all the elements of gospel and Christian music are all there in my playing. Yeah.
Gotcha. Great. And to entail a little more on your influences on the first full length album that you released as a band leader, introducing Kendall Carter. I noticed that in addition to a lot of jazz standards that you played on the album, you also had a few classic soul songs on there with a Bill Withers and Michael Jackson cover. So, how much of an influence do those some of those older genres of music that people may not traditionally correlate with jazz, how much do they seep into your jazz playing and musical influence?
Listen, it's all there. Again, a lot of those artists anyway stem from church in some manner, in some shape or form. So again, to me, it really all draws back to church. For instance, you mentioned Bill Withers is on the first record.
Hmm.
Uh, that track, Lovely Day, was also covered by a gospel artist by the name of Kirk Franklin. And oftentimes in these situations, when a song like that is covered, some of
Hmm.
the lyric content is changed to meet the what they're recording it for a more gospel centered audience. But no, all those, I mean, all that music, Michael Jackson, man, that cat
Hmm.
grew up in some kind of church, you know. So it all again, it all really traces itself back to church. And then yeah, these artists, their music, it's still, it's Black American music at the end of the day, so it's all connected. And it's just good music at the end of the day, and audiences can connect with it if they can't connect with a jazz standard like a Cole Porter or an Rodgers and Hammerstein. I connect those. My Jackson, they will know Stevie Wonder tune, they will know
Hmm.
a Bill Withers tune, and so we put it all in there so that audiences can have a variety and really connect with something.
Love to hear it. And the fact that you're potentially appealing to more than just your, hardcore jazz listeners is great, just expanding the musical influence. But I'd like to talk now about your forthcoming album. What can we expect with that? What are you most excited for involving that?
So yeah, the forthcoming album, I just finished doing some work on it. It's going to be titled Purview, and it just simply deals with the fact that this is a project that was fully under my scope. I took care of all the pertinent details as it relates to the album, from song selection to the album artwork, to being there, dealing with the whole recording process, mixing, mastering, and everything. And so, yeah, the new record is going to be called Purview, and it features, I want to say about 8 or 9, somewhere around there, originals of my own,
Ooh,
and then I have put on there three other tracks, one by an organist out of Columbus, Ohio, named Hank Marr. It's a tune called Your Basic Gospel Tune, or Your
okay.
Basic Gospel Song. So church again, man. So we're putting that on there, and then I'm putting another track on there by one of the early '70s Christian groups called "You're So Good to Me," and it's a almost like a Christian love song to God. And so it's a song that I fell in love with in the last couple
Hmm.
of years. And I was like, man, I got to record that tune as well. So that's on there. And then one for the jazz lovers is a tune by the great Larry Young called Retha. But so yeah, that album's coming out on my birthday of next year, March 24th,
Oh,
2024. So it's definitely going to be primarily a digital release. I'm going to do a few copies, a few runs of the album, of the record, but primarily we're focusing on just the digital release of that. And so it features Dan Wilson on guitar, who's going to be playing on the concert with us on the 17th there at the cafe. And then it features a drummer from Columbus, Ohio, by the name of James Gators. So those three guys are on there primarily. Those two guys, excuse me, are there the primary constituents. And then we have features from Marlon McKay on trumpet trumpet and flugelhorn,
hmm.
and then Chad O'Brien is on there on one track playing trombone. I lied. Let me correct myself. I think there's 4 covers on this record because
Okay.
I'm also covering a tune by the great Indianapolis trumpeter Freddie Hubbard entitled
Oh,
"Happiness Is Now." So it's a good record. I'm looking forward to it coming out. I've been sitting on uh, for the last couple of years. We recorded it kind of towards the latter portion of COVID,
yeah.
and so yeah. Again, I'm excited that it's finally going to get out there.
Awesome. Excited to hear that you've got another release coming within the next few months. And now I'd like to shift to the gig you've got coming up 17th at the cafe. What do you have planned for that?
Man, I'm still putting my thoughts together. I was talking to the
Hmm.
guys the other day.
Yeah.
Definitely, we're going to play some Christmas tunes.
Awesome.
We're gonna get inspired by the Jimmy Smith and the Wes Montgomery Christmas rendition. So we're gonna play a couple of Christmas tunes. Obviously, again, like you said, the holidays are coming up, and then we'll play some tunes from the new record, from my new record, and then we'll play some tunes. Dan recently put out a record. Dan Wilson put out a record, I think, earlier this year, called "Things Eternal," and so we're gonna play a couple of tunes from that record as well. So, you know, it'll be some originals. It'll be some covers. As I say, we're bringing the swing, the blues, and the grooves. We just need you to buy the ticket and meet us there.
Love to hear it. Love to hear it. And so you mentioned Dan Wilson a few times. So I'm guessing he's going to be there. And who's going to be the third member of the trio playing with you that night?
Yeah, rounding up the trio on Sunday night, the 17th, is a gentleman from Chicago, Illinois, by the name of Frank Morrison. Frank's the awesome young drummer from up in Chicago, whom I've met several years back, a few years back, at the Jamie Aebersold Summer Jazz Workshops. Frank was coming as a student, and then he spent a little time here in Louisville, and so we got to play a fair amount and have played off and on. And so I'm happy to be bringing Frank to play and to run out this trio for that
Mm-hmm.
concert. So it's going to be a real special concert to play with these guys who I consider brothers and great friends. And
Yeah.
it's just, they're master musicians in their own rights. And so I'm really looking forward to having them here back in the great city of Louisville, Kentucky.
Sweet. And speaking of Louisville, Kentucky, your hometown, I wanted to ask you, what is it like playing in your hometown at, places you'd probably gone to as a teenager or a younger kid, and being the guy on stage? What's that like?
It's it's a little interesting,
Hmm.
especially and mainly because I don't play as often as far as concerts like these. I don't play them often here in town. I am more of a regional player, so
Hmm.
I play a lot throughout the Midwest, and I spend a lot of time on the road, which is how I've met a lot of these guys that I've gotten to play with. And
Yeah.
so, it's really special to be able to come back home, or rather to stay home and play a concert for family, friends, jazz lovers, music lovers, and to meet audience members who I maybe have met in times past or haven't met. Because a lot of these concerts bring out individuals who I haven't met before, but
Hmm.
maybe they've heard of me, maybe they haven't. So it's always great to still to kind of connect and to see who's listening to the music, even in my own hometown.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, great. Any final remarks you'd like to add in terms of this Louisville Jazz Society Signature Series concert that you'll be appearing at here in a few weeks?
I just say again, listen, I need everyone to go buy their tickets and join us that night. Again, it's going to be a very special night to have these gentlemen, Dan Wilson and Frank Morrison, back in town with us to share in music and in song. And we're really excited and looking forward to playing for everyone on that night. And just really hope to see you in the audience that night.
Great. Thanks again for coming on, ladies and gentlemen. Kendall Carter. He's got an album coming out. You said March of 2024, correct?
That's right. It's going to be March 24th of 2024.
All righty. And so, not only that, you can possibly catch a sneak peek of some of the songs that will be on that album and much more on December 17th at the Cafe. This will be part of the Louisville Jazz Society Signature Series concert, the Kendall Carter Organ Trio. Once again, Kendall, thank you so much for making the time to come on today.
Thank you.